What is up, my dudes? We are back here with the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Winter Americas Edition. I'm Nathanius, joined by Fear Dragon. And oh boy, it is time to get down to the nitty-gritty, the bloody finale, the final fight of Americas.
There's only one match left. It's going to be a best of 7 as well between Scarlett and Neeb. I'm excited.
You better be, Fear Dragon.
That FFA has my blood pumping, Neeb.
You know, I dove down. I got my spelunking gear. I went into the caverns of the BattleNet forums, and I made a post during the break.
Wow.
Late game Protoss has been nerfed too much. I remember a day where you could play 4 versus 4 in mass carriers, and if you hit 200 supply, you could not be stopped unless your opponent killed their own probes and made more carriers than you faster than you could. Unfortunately, the Graviton Catapult nerf, the build time nerf. How is Protoss supposed to win free-for-alls anymore? The Tempest doesn't even move at the speed of a Ferrari.
Maybe if you can chrono boost a carrier, the interceptors can come out twice as fast.
Maybe. That may be the next step. Of course, the next step here for in a victory would be a lot of money. Of course, these players going into the grand finals, we got a lot of WCS points at stake. 1,600 for first place and $12,000, Fear Dragon. A $4,000 difference between second and first place. That is a pretty reasonable sum of money to be made.
Absolutely. And it stacks up with more WCS points that you earn from this. You get easier seeding for all the other Challenger and WCS events for the rest of the year. So then you have a higher chance of advancing on further and earning even more money. It adds up. The first event of the year.
I know you guys are sick of us. You guys have been dealing with us running this show and winter and all that like all year, but just because this is ending doesn't mean Challenger's not starting in a few weeks. We're excited. There's going to be a lot more StarCraft coming your ways. We get ready for WCS Spring and then all of the other wonderful things that there are to see in this world, Fear Dragon.
So many more StarCraft events coming on up.
Life is amazing.
It is. And Nate, I'm pretty excited about this series. Now, I know we talked a little bit about Neeb and, of course, all the other players and everything, but Scarlett, definitely one of the players that we haven't seen play at all because she got seeded straight into the grand finals. But she had a good run at WSG. She was like IEM Katowice and stuff, showed some kind of fun play. I know that she actually showed a little bit of the ZvZ play that Raynor was busting out on the round robin, where she was doing it at WSG and doing the Ling Lurker kind of stuff. Apparently, Raynor had told Scarlett about that style and stuff, but she's kind of making her own rounds.
The Zerg are a hive mind. They don't have to tell each other anything, Fear Dragon. They all just kind of know.
They all just adapt. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because if you ever hear them complain about balance, then they all seem to have the same things to say.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Speaking of very good Zerg players, Scarlett, of course, you said it. She finished first in seeding, so she was seeded straight into the grand finals. She played a very good series of games. Record-wise, ended up still pretty close to Neeb at the end of it all, but it was her beating Neeb, right? That one gave her that edge to eke out, and it's been a good run for Sasha. Interested to see what she brings to the table here. In Control and I were discussing this earlier. She used a lot of Nidus worms and whatnot. That was that kind of period of time. Don't necessarily think we're going to see as much of that in this series, but we can maybe one.
It's interesting because I think that the Nidus Worm change, for those who don't know, is that the Nidus Worm armor got reduced, but the unload time and all that stuff is all still the same. And I kind of feel like a lot of pro players, they sort of adapted their builds to say, let's get up a really fast Robo, let's get up the Immortal, and we'll be ready to deal with the Nidus Worm play. I don't know if the Immortal cares if there was 2 less armor or not. So I think that but we still saw success from Zerg players.
The change is bigger for the units with the higher rate of fire with the lower damage.
Or even like workers being able to do more damage,
Workers actually being able to do damage.
Indeed. So I'm interested to see what exactly Scarlett has been working on. What has she been coming up with? These two guys have played so many times, Nate. Do you want to take a guess at how many games they have played against each other?
I don't want to guess.
You don't want to guess?
I don't believe in guess. I only believe in certainty. Fear Dragon. Or the universe can split apart.
86 plus 68 games. They are 86 and 68.
Just want you to know, great conversation going on in the lobby. Neeb is saying that his preferred playlist is the music that Zest plays on his stream. So if you want to be like Neeb and I guess like Zest, there you go.
What is that? Rammstein?
No, someone
no,
else.
someone
Someone
else
else is bringing that in. No, now they're just having a conversation.
Neeb
about
does
it.
listen to a lot of K-pop, and then Scarlett listens to a lot of like I think Korean covers or like Korean music artists will do covers of English songs.
Interesting.
Yeah. That music meta.
Yeah, I don't think they're allowed to listen to music at these computers here, which was a point
really?
a point of contention someone brought up to me earlier, because Neeb was saying that I need my music.
Well, I think actually Scarlett got used to playing without any game sounds
because of
the
well,
GSL.
She was all over the world playing in so many tournaments. Scarlett actually played the qualifiers from a helicopter. Obviously, you're not going to hear anything on there, so she's got that next level practice. Also, helicopter internet really bad ping. If you thought Australia,
That's
was
why
bad.
she created the clan 300 MS.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Time was in the 9999 MS clan.
Yeah.
Today. So
Big
we have
competitor.
Yeah, we have Automaton as the first map of this best of 7. As we get into it, should be a good match. You think this one goes all the way, Ravi?
You know, I think it definitely can. Usually their series.
That's not
No,
an answer.
usually
it
their
could
series,
rain tomorrow.
Usually their series either do one of two things. Either Neeb ends up really dominating it, or I think otherwise it's a very close and contentious series where Scarlett maybe ekes out a victory at the end.
Okay, I'm going to say Scarlett wins 4-0, cheesing every single game. We're loading it in the top right of Automaton. We have the red Protoss player. He is Neeb.
And over in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have our blue Zerg player. She is from Team Newbie. It's Scarlett. And already open it up with earlier pool and a bit of a gas geyser there, looking to put some pressure on Automaton. Nice wide open natural expansion. Nice to sneak some Zerglings in.
Yep. Very interested to see what kind of strategies that Scarlett brings out. We know that Neeb does have a pretty wide array of builds that he'll use versus Zerg, in terms of whether it's like the very standard, Oracle, Phoenix, into
He has some pressure
Archon
builds,
drop.
yeah.
But Neeb is also the type of player, and we saw him do it in the round of 8, he'll do like the big adept builds, like 7 gate, tons of adepts, resonating glaives, and that is something that has worked out for him in the past. He's got just enough variety that I don't think you can go into a series with him having a clear expectation of what's going to be coming your way. Like, some Protoss will mix it up occasionally, but Neeb does like to do certain builds that you could say are out of style, old-fashioned Fear Dragon.
Yeah, definitely. I think that usually the way that Scarlett finds big advantages over Neeb is when she finds things that Neeb does that are just extremely, extremely standard for him. He does them every game, and he'll even lose a game or something, but he'll still continue to do it because he thinks, no, if I'm Neeb, if I can just keep doing this and I do this properly, I can still get away with it. If I control this well, he's ironed out a lot of his kind of standard macro builds like that, and I think he has a lot of faith in his mechanics and everything. And Scarlett really likes to put the pressure on, and we already see 2-base layer coming out from Scarlett. She's still getting up Zergling speed, so the pool first still going to be utilized for maybe a little bit of Zergling pressure. But when is Neeb going to catch wind of this? Because the first adept is making his way across the map. And we'll see if that... Oh, Ling actually gets into the main base. This is kind of annoying. I mean, it's already seen the Stargate. He's already seen what... Or she's already seen what she needs to see.
Yeah. Do you think that she goes for a Nidus?
I actually wouldn't doubt it too much. It's definitely possible.
That's a slightly more committed to your answer, Rowan. I appreciate it. The adept comes in, it pokes,
and sees the lair.
There is a good scout. I wouldn't be... Okay, so Sasha is exactly the type of player where she would just cancel it, but she's not going to do that this time, and it is going to be a Nidus.
So it's going to be nice with no Roach Warren. So it's going to be Lings and Queens. That's the name of the game here. And the Oracle Where the Oracle goes and how much energy it uses is a big deal here for Neeb, because that is going to be one of his main ways to try and DPS down that Nidus Swarm before it gets up. If it gets up, Neeb's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yes, yes, he will. Void Rays being chrono boosted out, that's going to be extremely important.
I like the full wall off. That's going to also be important to at least make sure he can split up his units appropriately. You don't want to leave too many units at the front, and if you still have that wall going, the Lings poking in there can really cause problems. But Nidus Swarm starts up in the main base, and Neeb is already on top of it.
Here's the thing, man. Nidus Swarms can be killed now. They are not indomitable.
That's a few more workers than you need.
And it's, yeah, no.
And now
about it. Now here's the thing. She's gonna attack the front wall, and she also has another Nidus going down in the natural. So the army units are not getting here fast enough, and Neeb is now going to be in a bit of trouble. This Nidus should be able to unload, and that's going to be Queens hopefully inside that can transfuse.
Yep.
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom.
And the Void Ray getting pushed back, the Queen's out, but there aren't actually that many Lings left over. There are just enough, though, to pick away at some of the probes. We already see Neeb fall in about 4 or so, but Scarlett's only at 22, so she needs to do more damage than this, and she's looking for a kill on the army to secure this game.
Yep, she's trying to get the surround there. Force field does block off on one side. We've got the Oracle there as well. Pulsar being doing so much damage to those Zerglings. If the Stalker gets picked off, probes are cleaned up with that Zealot and the Sentry, and another Nidus does pop inside of the babies at the same time. Zerglings coming out with another Queen, and I just don't think that there's enough here for Neeb to stop the
I think I have a name for that kind of pylon. It's an Artosis pylon.
GG. Scarlett takes game numero uno here for the WCS Winter Americas Grand Finals.
Well, so far, Nate, you are actually on track with your prediction. Scarlett with a quick cheese out there for Neeb. Neeb handled the first Nidus Swarm actually very, very well. And then even was handling like the re-walling off and everything very well. But the Void Ray, it seemed like Neeb just didn't notice or didn't react or didn't have enough units to react to the Nidus Swarm in the natural for way too long of a time.
Yeah, and that's the struggle, right? It's like, we've got the probes, you got the units there, but then it's you just go to the other side, and that's the awareness from Scarlett to also anticipate that if plan A doesn't work, what is my backup plan? What am I going to fall back on? Throw the Lings at the wall, distract him. He had everything inside the main base, also not mining because of his probes being on top of that Nidus to try and kill it. Even you pointed it out. He pulled more than he could to surround. And getting the other Nidus up in the natural expansion, all that she needed. The Queen's dealt with the Void Ray, and then she just flooded Zerglings out. And yeah, I think
that's the scary thing about the Nidus Swarm, right? Is that you don't necessarily have to win with the first one. You can win with the second or even the third sometimes.
I still prefer...
There is a point where it does start to fall off.
I still like this more than the old meta where the Nidus was just unkillable.
Oh,
that first one's guaranteed to finish, and then everything dies. So this was a little bit more of a struggle to take with the Nidus, but Scarlett is going to do what Scarlett does.
Well, Scarlett taking the first game in a best of 7 is definitely nice. And Scarlett, I think, very good at just mixing things up. I mean, we were talking about how Neeb has his mix-ups, but Scarlett has, I think, really well described, actually, by Neeb at one point, 2 different modes. She has, I'm going to try and play as perfectly as possible mode, and then she has, I'm going to cheese you in the filthiest ways possible mode.
Yep.
And she kind of alternates between the two, especially in a series.
Yeah. And, I mean, Scarlett, like, some of her strategies that she can play like crazy late game are really good. Like when you watch play like versus especially Terran. And we've seen a good bit of that meme magic in ZvZ as you were talking about, the Ling Lurker stuff that Raynor was doing. But versus Protoss, I don't know. Like the Protoss late game is nowhere near as scary as it used to be. Like I joked about it like with the free for all thing, but like, you know, you don't just kill everything once you get to like 8 or 10 carriers. Like they're way worse than they used to be. So I don't even feel like the pressure is that crazy to kill the Protoss early on, but that's just how Scarlett rolls.
Yeah, it's also funny too because I know that a lot of the games specifically between Neeb and Scarlett that I can think of in the past like 2-3 years, a decent number of them did go to the hyper late game. It was actually during the time where Graviton Catapult was there. Neeb would get up to 15, 20 carriers, maybe some Tempest and everything. And Scarlett would actually still end up winning a lot of those games just because she was so good at handling the super duper late game. And he was even doing a lot of smart things. He was doing like proxy nexus to recall his army to like offensively assault a different side of the map while the Broodlord's out of position. He was doing a lot of smart stuff, but Scarlett is really good in the late game as well.
Yep. We're going to go to Kairos Junction for the next map. Still a decent amount of space inside of the mains, of course. Actually, a feature that most of the maps in this pool share, so she could do it again.
You know, Nate, if she does it again in this game, I would not doubt if she just did it again in game number 3.
Yeah.
If it works over here in game 2, I think she's just gonna do it game 3 and game 4.
The game is counting down. It's about to start loading as we get ready to go into our next Protoss versus Zerg. Big thanks to all y'all hanging out in the chat, watching online, those of you who do us the service of taking some great clips, posting them around, sharing your passion for StarCraft with the world, because, let's be honest, if you're here, you really love StarCraft. So thank you for spending your time with us. This is the World Championship Series, and we are loaded into game number 2 of the Grand Finals. Spawning in the bottom right position as our red Protoss player representing the United States of America, New York, he is Neeb from Ting.
Indeed. And on the other side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from Team Newbie. She is Scarlett. Just a quick note here, Nate, is that while the winner of WCS Winter does not necessarily get a seed to BlizzCon or the Global Finals or anything, you get so many WCS points that actually, if you look at the WCS points you earn from winning this event, compared to how many points people had last year that qualified for BlizzCon, you're basically there. You're pretty much there.
Yeah, I was having this conversation earlier, and because we were talking about it behind the scenes as well. This tournament has a lot of weight on it as far as the circuit standings go, because those points, we always make this same old tired story at the start of every year. We're like, hey, if you start off strong, it's not going to be that hard for the rest of the year. If you mess up now, it's going to get more and more tough, and that is how it's going to be. The rest of the tournaments are going to be more offline based. They're going to be those weekend tournaments. The biggest benefit of playing in this setup, honestly,
whoa!
Is that probe getting hurt?
Scarlett, oh my God, he gets away with it.
I think the biggest benefit of this whole setup for the players is that only this final phase is actually played offline. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, okay, well, obviously the studio needs to have good conditions and all that for the players to practice. And my point more so is, you can be more comfortable playing on your own setup, the one that you practice on, the one that you ladder on. Players went through almost the entire tournament being able to use whatever setup they had at home or whatever they were comfortable using. And it's not as difficult as like flying out to a foreign country or something like that, playing on a whole setup for the entire tournament, group stages and all that jazz.
Yeah. Quick side note, have you ever seen a Protoss wall like that?
Have you ever watched Rotterdam stream?
Well, no.
I have seen
Rotterdam,
every wall imaginable, good, bad, ugly, and in between.
Rotterdam would have 3 more pylons in that wall, each with their own unique gap.
I don't think Neeb's done yet, so let's give him some time.
Okay.
The benefit of the way that he's doing this is that his pylon is not exposed, but he also does not have a full wall.
He also does not have a wall.
I would like to remind those of you tuning in that Neeb insta-lost a game on this map in the round of 8 because he did not have a complete wall off.
Yeah, you know, sometimes
or that might have been the Port Alexander game, but I think those 2 maps are basically the same. So,
well, Scarlett does take a 3rd base, but she is flooding out a decent number of these Zerglings now to try and put some pressure on. So, we'll see what she's able to do. She sees that the lack of wall is going to make it very easy for some Lings to sneak in, find that Robo, which usually is a big way that a lot of Pro players will open up if they're concerned about a Nidus Worm play. And Scarlett didn't go for the super fast layer this game, so it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything like that.
Oh, she'll do the Nidus later when he's not worried about it. Look,
that's a lot of Lings.
This wall has no pylon opening, so as long as Neeb keeps it tight here, it's going to be pretty difficult.
There is a lot of surface area, though. I think Scarlett feels like she can make something happen here.
Get Deepest on the wall. Yeah, if she does go, well, she is going crazy with the Lings.
Yeah.
It's Lings the whole way down.
Wait, is there another gateway?
That sentry's got you going nowhere.
So Nate, that's the only gateway, by the way. So if that dies, there's going to be a second gateway that just now finishes up. That's still turning into a warp gate, so you can maybe get one more warp
surface area on the cyber core now too. You're gonna warp in a sentry or an adept. What's coming out? Another sentry.
Yeah.
There is an immortal on the way, so it's not like there's no production. But
Scarlett's committed to this. If she wanted to back off from this, she can't anymore. She has to do something here.
Yeah, she's got to win it right here, right now with this giant flood.
But the pylon and the cyber core both getting knocked down. Remember, that means no more stalkers or sentries can be warped in.
We're gonna see the Great Wall of Neeb now, Fear Dragon. He's just gonna fall back. And you questioned his wall? You question his wall? His wall was built like that
Oh my
so
God.
he'd have 5,000 acres to retreat on.
You know what, Nate? You're
There's
actually
a
so right.
300 IQ wall. I build my wall so far forward because I know when you link flood me, I will be able to retreat so very, very far. Look, now he's like, all right, piling in the corner. Let's not get Nidus. We're good.
Nate, you have no idea how right you were, because this was the definition of a Roddy wall, to the point where it baits the Zerg into going for a link flood all in that then somehow Rotterdam is always prepared for.
Neeb was just going out fishing this game. He threw his line deep into the middle of that lake, and he baited about 1,000 Zerglings from Scarlett, and now she has to try to recover that economy, which, by the way, not going to be easy when the Adepts are coming in to harass you. You don't want to build Zerglings right now. You need drones. You will not win this game if you cannot get your worker count up.
Yeah, she is extremely behind on that worker count
She
right
has
now.
no lair, and she's building a Roach Warren.
Yeah.
So, assuming that Neeb just wants to attack with, like, 2 Immortals and a bunch of Warpins, like, what is she going to do about that?
And you might be thinking, oh, well, Neeb lost his Cybernetics Core and stuff, but Neeb has still got up the Robo. He's building up the Immortal count. He has the ability to get up additional tech.
He's about to have 3 Immortals, and Scarlet will only have slow lings. Or, slow Roaches and Speedlings, which she's got to have to do some, like, it's going to be, I'm going to use the word terrible, she's going to do some terrible follow-up to this that is going to be, like, running into a wall. Maybe she gets the sickest surround of all time with these lings she's building now.
Uh-oh, supply
But that's
block.
it.
All right, so that's going to hurt some of the reinforcements now.
It's 4th and 40, and she's about to just chuck it
Oh,
into the
Link
end zone and
Flood
pray.
going into the natural, and ooh,
Oh!
that Zealot out of position. Can she force a recall here? There's
Now
a few
it's
Zealots
Roddy
being warped
wall.
in. Well, Neeb is still going to be charging on forward. He's got the Warp Prism here as well, but this is a lot of lings in surround on these Zealots and Stalkers. Neeb is doing his best to try and micro these units up. The Force Field's also coming out, reducing the surface area. These Immortals all staying alive. The Roaches doing their best to try and charge forward, but the Immortals reign supreme.
Those Zerglings killed only 4 probe Sphere Dragon.
And they need to do more than that if Scarlett wants to hold on. She's got to really easily deflect this push. Sniping off the Warp Prism would be a big victory here if she can get some good Corrosive Biles down.
Neeb is too smart to siege his Prism right now with 3 Ravagers right here. He's just going to juggle these units, try to save 2 Immortals if everything else gets killed. The only way that Neeb gets wrecked here is if that Prism gets sniped, and it's not going to. So I think we're going to see Neeb tie it up here. There's just no way that Sasha's going to be able to break through the Immortals with this many Adepts as well, saying, hey, I don't have upgrades, I don't have charge. Adepts are going to serve me better than Zealots would. GG! Neeb evens the score.
What a bait. What an absolute bait of a wall.
Wow.
That was really well
That
done.
was a great bait, mate. I rated it 8. Gotta say, Sasha might be irate after that one.
I love the massive smile on Scarlett's face. Also, after that game,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you...
Scarlett just typed into our chat. She says, I misclicked on the probe with my drones at the start.
Oh, that's... So, for those who forgot, she did pull off like 10 of her drones to go right-click down a probe. So that was a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well,
Just a little bit.
tied up series 1-1, like you said now. Scarlett, she won 1 cheese. She lost another cheese. Do you choose game 3?
Game 3. Yeah. Because why not? Because you're Scarlett.
There's like 2 base meta, something else.
These
another
two,
Nidus room.
players make so much money. They're like, yeah, we're both gonna make it to whatever the global finals is anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're both really good friends as well. They like to joke around. They like to have a good time as well. I remember the Kings of the North finals, one of the earlier offline events that they actually faced off against each other. They both ended up off racing Terran and Zerg for Scarlett and Neeb respectively
Yep.
to play off in the first game, and it was really silly.
Well,
really silly.
these two are memers.
They-
It doesn't show as much in Neeb's interviews because he doesn't want people to know who he
You need
really
to catch
is.
Neeb in
but-
Twitch chat. That's the golden
Yeah,
Neeb.
yeah. Well,
right
just
there.
I mean, honestly, if we had a StarCraft backstage pass that was just the conversations that they have between games and in the lobbies, these players would be like WWE stars to you guys.
Yeah.
The amount of talk smack that is had is incredible until there's a camera in front of them and they're like, oh yeah, my mom might see this one day.
Yeah. Scarlett actually talks a lot of like low. It's not really deliberately offensive smack.
Is
But
it though?
Scarlett is definitely like the player who will say, Yeah, I'm way better than him. Oh my god, he's so bad. I should never lose to him.
Yeah.
Quite
so
frank.
we have the lobby up now for
Cyber Forest.
Cyber Forest. It's a cool map.
Is this a good Nidus map, Nate? Does this have a big main base?
I would say no, because the natural is too small for the follow-up Nidus to be tucked away. However, the thing with that is you can always put it next to the mineral patch, right?
Oh yeah,
as long
reduce
as
the
you
surface area.
Limit the surface area a little bit from
That's
the
mostly going to be
workers.
probes, right?
Right. So you want to go from the top right corner of the main, assuming Neeb spawns on the top right corner of the main, to the back pocket of the natural, like between the edge of the map and like 2 of those mineral patches. Maybe you can only get like 5 or so.
I mean, there's
probes around it.
also my other favorite Nidus Worm, which is not just Lings and Queens. It's where you actually go for the Roach Nidus Worm play. And when you go for that, even if you don't get one up in the main or the natural, you kind of just do it right outside the wall, and you still just knock down the wall and still get something
there's
there.
That too.
Because the Lings need to be inside the wall, or they won't do anything.
The reinforcement Nidus is always the thing. Like we saw it earlier today in the TVZ, right? Or actually, no, it was our first PVZ of the day.
Yeah.
And
Cham versus Estrella.
Cham lost that game, but you still see the general ideas there.
Yeah.
It's, I'm going to bring this big attack. I'm going to do the Nidus to supplement my army, not make the Nidus my actual play, right?
Yeah.
So, and I do believe that that's a little bit more towards what it was intended to do. I like that there is a higher risk factor in using the Nidus Swarm aggressively nowadays. But obviously, if you use it with your army like that, your army can defend it, so it can almost always finish.
All right. Well, looks like the players are just waiting around for the next game to start. Scarlett taking her time. On Team Newbie, she's teammates with Time now. Whatever, I guess more recent things, maybe in the past like 4 or 5 months or so.
Yeah.
But she's actually spent a decent amount of time, I think, in China and stuff. So I think she's pretty familiar with like a lot of the Chinese scene.
That would not surprise me at all.
She spent time in one of the Chinese team houses actually for a good bit of a while.
Of a while. Oh, I see.
dodged that
We're
one.
avoiding
Dodged
words
that
now. No, nice.
Well,
let us sojourn
let's
into
see
our third map
if that
of this best of 7.
See if that all-in left a scar. If he's gonna have Neeb to change it up. I know.
Yeah. I got nothing, Ravi.
No, neither do I.
Twitch chat will give you the response that you deserve for that comment you just made. In the top left of Cyber Forest Ladder Edition, we have the red Protoss player. He goes by the name of Neeb.
Alex Sunderhaft.
He's pretty all right.
And down here in the bottom right, we have the blue Zerg player from Team Newbie. She is Scarlett, aka Sasha Hostin.
Yeah. And she's taking a very fast gas and pool Fear Dragon.
I like it.
Actually,
But-
I don't know. Is it the fastest?
I mean, no, it's not. It's
I
not
think
one of the
if
fastest.
Katz were here, he would say, "Young Nathaniel, you can get a hatch. You can get a gas in a pool much faster than at 16 supply."
This is indeed true. So it's still going to allow Scarlett to maybe go for another one of those Nidus Storm plays or something to get up the really, really fast layer. Now, Neeb does go for a nice early probe scout. Oh, snap. When does Neeb see this one? This might actually take a while for him to scout.
Yeah.
Because he's going to move in there. He sees, okay, you didn't take it. Ah,
Good
there
probe.
it is.
Good probe
Boom.
check.
Sends a Zealot down or rallies that straight down to the low ground so he can chip away at the hatchery's hit points.
Will that be enough is the question, right?
You need to pull some workers also if you want to actually kill the hatchery before it finishes.
My mind always goes back to when like Huck played, and Huck was one of those Protoss players that whenever someone would proxy hatch him, he would always do the thing where he would get like that perfect number of probes to make sure that it can't finish. And you're like, people always debated, is it worth the economic loss to do it like this and whatnot? And some players liked doing that.
Is he actually gonna? Oh, he's gonna shield battery this up.
He's reverse shield battery rushing himself.
You know what's so funny is that if this game carries on, he's gonna have an easier third base to take. Because there's some shield batteries protecting the wave in between.
You are correct. I don't think that there's... Wow, she really did let it finish. No, she's committing.
I mean, she didn't take a natural. She kind of has to at this point, right?
Yeah.
There's no way she could
you're
bounce
right. You're
back.
right. Yeah, without the natural, there's really only one move to be made here, but I don't see how she actually gets any spines up. There's
None
too
of
many
the spines have
here.
started yet.
And the batteries, one of the first ones.
Oh,
God,
that's not a
killed
cancel. That's a kill. And
so Neeb's starting to think about what he's going to do in game number 3.
game number 4, yeah.
Yeah, excuse me.
I think he already knows what he's doing in game number 3 at this point. Zealot does die, but the Stalkers, they are not even going to have to worry about
All right, well,
speed for a bit.
speed's about to finish.
Yeah.
A surround on the Stalkers would be good.
But with the shield batteries
3
here...
shield batteries, there's a dream.
Oh, he cancels one.
Just the 2 shield batteries.
Maybe he's a bit concerned about Scarlett transitioning out. Because remember, he doesn't actually have vision to
Are
see...
his units positioned in a wall?
Whoop.
No, okay, now they are. That's good.
But the shield batteries
are gonna-
reach.
They're going to make it hard to break through this, but there are a lot of Zerglings, right?
There's a lot of surface area on that Stalker
that's
as
the
well.
dream. Batteries are running out of charge.
Oh, man. One Stalker goes down, a second Stalker, third Stalker. There's the full wall in, but now the shield batteries on the low ground can be taken care of. And Neeb didn't actually take his Nexus. All of the investment in the pile on the low ground, the extra shield batteries, those are all minerals that would have otherwise gone into a Nexus in this situation. So Neeb, not exactly out of the clear just yet, but Scarlett's still on 15 workers. This is still desperation mode for Scarlett.
Yeah, Neeb going for that robotics facility now. Really important play. Desperately needs to get out an immortal or 2. And that's like the key thing, right? Is you get that power unit that can really do a good job of battering down that front door. And by front door, I mean his own front door.
There's not a lot of firepower over here. And actually with the high ground vision, the sentry gonna be using the shield batteries to stay alive, so that's not too much of a concern. The force field coming down to try and protect Warp Gate. If Scarlett's able to snipe off Warp Gate, that would actually be a pretty nice pick-off for her, because that really slows down production, but looks like Cybernetic's core is not gonna get focus fire down in time. So it does finish, and there is Warp Gates. Oh, out of force fields.
Oh my god, the torrent of Lings is flooding through.
Oh my god, and he cannot really easily re-wall this after these units get picked off, but the shield battery still got some energy left over. Got some force field still.
Force field to try and block.
Just one more.
This Zealot. Puts the Zealot in a corner. Cleans up some of the Lings with the batteries. Running out of energy again. All right, we've got a Cybernetics core again. So I guess it's Adepts behind the wall. That Queen is going to get pinched by the
good
force
pick off.
fields. Good grab.
Yep. Does Neeb cancel that? Yes, he does. So he can sneak his way out and poke forward because he's killed so many Zerglings of Scarlett. And yeah, we take a wow, 1337 resources lost there
Nice.
for Neeb. That's the style points right there. He let a few units die just to get 1337. Not really.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. It's a thing. He, goodness, I'm just trying to figure out what's happening in this game now. So
Well,
it's a Warp Prism is going to come out
I mean, that's
before the
smart,
Immortal.
right? Yeah. I mean, not just for the Immortal, right? It's
No,
all
before.
Zerglings.
Before
so,
is what I mean.
before, yeah.
I was
gonna say-
Saturate.
The Zerglings not really being able to just immediately surround and pick off units nearly as easily anymore. See Scarlett canceling some of the larvae that she's
Scarlett-
making here.
Scarlett is still super all-in, by the way.
Yeah.
Look, she's still just building links.
17 workers.
She is just waiting for Neeb to eventually slip up. And she's going to run in, get a big surround on a lot of these units. Shield batteries doing their thing. More force shields are going to get popped. And
That was the most
Army's
NA
still
move I've ever seen.
G
GG!
to the E to the G.
Neeb holds against the repeated all-in. And scouts the proxy hatch. That's 2-1.
When Scarlett commits, she commits. Tough hold there for Neeb. Great job, though. Those are one of those situations that you're playing on ladder. You're just trying to get your game going, and one thing happens after the next. You're like, okay, well, I got the drop on her. I'm gonna get the shield battery up.
Yep.
2 batteries. All right, add the third. Stalkers come out. Zealot comes out. All of a sudden, you're overwhelmed outside of your wall. Have I let this slip away from me? And Neeb does a really good job of like digging his heels into the ground, stops himself from getting pushed back, and he's finally able to just take the game as soon as he could exert any energy the other way.
Yeah, that's what I actually, by the way, even though, of course, Neeb does manage to hold that, that's what I call the no regret all-in, where you all-in once, your opponent sees the all-in coming, and they say, okay, I've defended this. You all-in again a second time without really transitioning out almost at all, and then your opponent still holds, and then you say, okay, what if I hold back my units for a little bit, and then I all-in again? And that one doesn't work, but then the fourth all-in is the one that works.
We get it. It's all good.
Yeah.
We're going to go into the next game after a short break. We're going to give the players just a moment to rest. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. We are in the middle of our grand finals for WCS Winter for the Americas region. Having a lot of fun here, aren't we, Fear Dragon?
Having a ton of fun watching all in after all in. We're discovering the diversity of Zerg all-ins right now.
It's a bit of a speed run contest, you know. Neeb
That's
was
true.
telling
We've
me
always researched speed for Zerglings in this.
that is very, very true. I heard Scarlett wants to submit this grand final to Summer Games Done Quick, so we'll see if we can get that
I
on
speed
there.
ran Neeb in a best of 7.
Exactly. And, you know, hopefully we'll get to have her there doing commentary for it. It'll be great. Year 0 is the next map. And, yeah, we've got everybody in it, so just waiting for it to start pretty much. And we'll be keeping on.
Yeah, Year 0, one of the maps that actually could potentially, if Scarlett decides not to all in, go into more of a macro game, just because
But she will.
She probably will at this rate. It seems like Scarlett really wants to like go to Disneyland or something this weekend.
Probably.
Yeah.
That would not surprise me.
She's like, you know what? I think I can
running a
beat
little
him with
late.
some all-ins.
Would have needed the free-for-all to go a little faster
It's like,
today.
you know, I think I earned myself somewhere between like $8,000 and $12,000. That's good Disneyland money right there.
Yeah, but we're in Burbank, man. They gotta like travel.
What,
to the
an
sea.
hour
It's
away?
20,000 leagues under the sea to get over there. No way, man.
Disneyland is now under the sea.
No, that's when you order Chinese delivery and you watch the European StarCraft tomorrow. There you go. And then you show up 5 minutes before the free-for-all because you are a rock star named Scarlett. We are loaded into
Year
the
0.
game. We're gonna start it off. We're gonna get it done. Look at these two amazing gamers playing the StarCrafts for all of the money. In the top right, playing as our red Protoss player, representing Ting, he is Neeb.
And his opponents starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. We have the blue Zerg player from Team Newbie. It's Scarlett. Winner of IEM Pyeongchang with an E at the end.
That event was so much fun.
That was great, man. I legitimately cried on my airplane ride back from Poland watching that series, that grand finals.
It was amazing.
I was happy.
It was awesome. I got to have Korean barbecue at Tasteless. That was...
That's
God.
always a treat.
Oh yeah, there was some StarCraft too. And there was like this weird real. I think they call themselves T sports, traditional sports. There was a T sports thing going on over there. But I don't really follow that scene. You know, their casters kind of suck.
Wow.
We got the Nexus coming out for Neeb with that hatchery from Scarlett. Why am I saying such basic things? Because we haven't had this in this series. This may be the most normal looking game that we have in this entire grand final, Fear Dragon.
I'm not counting my chickens until they hatch, though, Nate, because Scarlett has still shown that she has a few all-ins that she can do off this kind of early game.
Very true. She can still start the lair
Yep.
around the time that pool finishes if she wants to, you know, go crazy.
Yeah. A couple of queens going to be starting out. 4 lings are being made as well to chase away that probe, make sure it doesn't cause any problems or anything. But she's about to hit that 100 gas. We'll see. Does she still invest into Zergling speed? Does she skip it and go for a fast lair? There it is. Going to be coming up. And of course, Neeb just going for the Stargate opening. He goes for the single Adept. He is looking to actually play out a normal game. Holy cow, Nate. I don't want to jinx it yet because I haven't seen a third. But that third should be coming down in the next, like, 30 seconds.
There's still third and 30 seconds. Anyway, there should be plenty of opportunity for Scarlett to get some shenanigans going on.
Boom.
And I fully expect to see... Oh, she danced her Overlord, by the way, in front of Neeb's Natural.
Oh.
I only saw it because I left my Observer PC on Neeb's
You only
base.
saw it because you're a dance
missed it.
maniac.
Yeah. Well, I've just been staring at his wall because I'm like, well, I mean, let's be real. With how fast Zerg players do run-bys these days, half of casting and observing StarCraft 2 is just looking at the wall, waiting for a mistake. Because, boy, oh boy, do they happen a little too often, if you know what I mean.
Well, we got a Phoenix opening over here from Neeb, so he's going to be able to clean up some of the Overlords. The Adept should get some good scouting information. The main thing I think he's going to be looking for right now is, do you have a lair or something on the way? Do you have a third base? And he sees in the main, okay, no lair. I'm good on that front. He poked up, and I think he saw the third base as well. So Neeb is going to be feeling pretty good knowing, okay, I just get a normal game. I don't have to deal with the weird Sasha shenanigans.
No, that's always going to be good. Because we know that Neeb is a player who, he's a good player, sure, and I don't know why I'm trying to talk him up when he's like already ahead in this series, but he likes to play that mid-late game. Like, he does early harass, but Neeb's not the kind of guy to, like, I'm going to do some insane one base. Like, Neeb's not the cannon rush into
He mixes them
shield
in,
battery, immortal warper. No.
He mixes them in like one in every 15 games. Scarlett mixes them in one in every other game.
No. Neeb cheese like that is like finding a shiny Pokemon, man. It's like one in like 4,096 or something ridiculous.
Well, Oracle's going to come in over here, and with the Phoenix lifting up the Queen, that means there's not that much DPS on the Oracle. The Oracle can get out of there alive. Phoenix takes a bit extra damage, but...
Well, it's unfortunate that the Oracle takes that much damage. Like, 3 kills is great, but you're not going to be able to really get in anymore. And with the energy gun, Scarlett's going to test the wall. She wants to make sure that Neeb is not playing too greedy. Now, we did have the second Stargate come out for Neeb, so he's going to have that air superiority.
Okay.
Going out.
Double Phoenix play here is going to allow him to really, really control the pace. And I know when you end up seeing a lot of these Protoss players going for the double Stargate, they get out a ton of Phoenix. The Zerg players are really pinned back. They had to pull their Overlords back. They lose a lot of workers. And there's different ways that I've seen Zerg players respond to it. Some players say, okay, well, if you have a bunch of these Phoenix, and it seems like Scarlett is actually making a lot of roaches behind all this on just 43 workers. Is she actually going to try and shut down the third and realize...
That Adept, it looks like you should be able to get around the side of that Adept.
It's so,
I'm going to file an
close.
official complaint watching that.
Oh my god.
That was something else.
Zell wasn't in hold position either. She actually had a chance to maybe run by, but... She adds on 8 workers behind this, and she is going to start to realize now, as a Phoenix poke into the main base, she is cleaning up a lot of the Adepts on the low ground over here at the third. But she should know it's double Stargate Adept, or Phoenix production over here. She's got to handle this now. Starting up some Spore Crawlers. No extra Queens, though.
The Phoenix are here, burning their energy on lifts. A double Robo has started, but there's really nothing to protect the third. We don't have Oracles, we don't have Void Rays. There's just the original Oracle. But it doesn't really have, it doesn't have any energy, does it? Can it even turn on? No, it can't even turn on Pulsar Beam, so yeah.
That's a big pickoff over here. If she even snipes off the pylon really quickly, she can prevent any weapons.
So Sasha's decided to try and force the issue. She's like, well, you actually don't have anything.
And, okay, the Force Fields are going to have to be used over here. Shield Battery keeps the sucker alive.
This scares me, because Scarlett should be able to get, okay, good, come back here. You should be able to deny this third base, like, easily. But if you hang around that natural too long, things can get rough. The Phoenix are here, but they only have so much energy, and they burn most of it on the Queens.
Yep. Picking up some of the Roaches. I think most of the Roaches should end up dying over here to the Phoenix. Those are nice pickoffs for Neeb, but losing the third base is a pretty big deal, and Scarlett is up to 62 workers. She's continuing to drone up behind all of this. Adding on the Hydra Den is going to give her the response she needs to deal with most of the Phoenix, and then she just has to be able to handle the Immortals from a 2-basing Protoss player.
I mean, double Immortal production is great, don't get me wrong, but 2-base is the key thing to focus on there. Neeb does not have the income necessary to build an army around double Immortal production that can contest what is sure to be a Roach Hydra attack. Third base denied again.
May not seem like a big deal, but that's another 20 seconds or so denying the third base. This is the kind of thing that puts a Protoss player into an all-in position where they don't care anymore. They're tired of trying to take that third over and over again. And they finally just say,
all Neeb can do is just be more and more aggressive with what he has to work with.
He is getting a lot of damage in.
So he's going to trade out a lot of his energy and a few of his Phoenix to get a couple drones, a bunch of Overlords. And you know what? Having to rebuild the Overlords will surely cut into, like, if, look at the amount of, here, just to put it very simply, look at the amount of gas Scarlett has. This is like the Terran syndrome when you need to build a bunch of depots really quickly or something, and you slam down all these, like, oh my god, I need to rebuild all these Overlords. And then you have no minerals to actually spend your gas with. But that could have been an insane amount of Hydralisks. 900 minerals of Overlords were just built because of the Phoenix coming in and sharking around. So Neeb definitely delayed Scarlett's attack by a significant amount of time by making this play with the Phoenix.
Yeah, I think Scarlett probably overmaking some of the Overlords. I mean, 170 supply left over, but she's overmaking them, expecting to still lose some more with the Phoenix coming in.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's doing a good amount of damage, but now the Hydra count's up to a high enough point and Neeb has not really been able to focus on more Phoenix production, nor does he really want to right now, because he's been trying to get up this big army, and Neeb stuck around on 47 or so workers for a while. He finally started probing up a little bit more, but this is his big goal right here. This attack, a lot of sentries, still got a handful of these Phoenixes left over, and a few Immortals in the mix as well.
And this is the Grand Slam Mammoth Jamma. Force Field's coming in, gonna drop a bile to break. One of them is Scarlett, but the Immortals continuing to push forward. 3 of them supported by Guardian Shield sentries, and the Phoenix providing a bit of that high ground vision as well to help keep the fight going.
But most of the Phoenix are dying pretty quickly over here, so with those gone, that means that no more lift-ups over here for the Hydras. Does Scarlett have enough to break this? She's throwing out some more Crystal Biles, catches the Stalker. I only see 1 Immortal left over in this army as well, and Scarlett's rallying forward, but she's starting to run out of units.
Yeah, and it's a really tense spot, right? Because these units are very expensive for Neeb. That Immortal, very important. It does get picked off. Focus fire on the Immortal is there, and Neeb's army, goodbye.
Comes crumbling down, and Scarlett's going to be able to push this back. She's got a 4th base. Neeb has barely set up a 3rd base with only 55 workers. He's adding on a Robo Bay, and is going to try and use the Oracles to try and pick off some of these roaches, but Scarlett's in a position where she can just actually flood these units across the map, keep Neeb honest, and make sure that he doesn't have too much tech going on behind this, so she can just secure a game lead.
Yeah, there will be more Immortals coming out over here, though, so it's not going to be the easiest counterattack of all time. But Neeb did not actually build a ridiculous amount of probes, even though he's had this 3rd for a little while now. We see he's just getting back into 3 at a time production, but he was at 56 workers, not a crazy amount. Whereas Scarlett, sitting pretty. 70 drones, getting +2, build more Hydras, build more Roaches, and Neeb is going to try and make his comeback play, channel the spirit of M. Canning himself with these double disruptors. Can he make his dreams a reality? We're about to find out.
Here we go. Scarlett's going to try and dive in on top of one of these Immortals. The shields have been set off, but still got a lot of hit points left over. A couple of Ravagers and Hydras making their way forward. The Guardian Shield's going to expire soon, and Scarlett just sees, I see 1 pylon that's powering 2 gateways and 2 Robos. That's pretty juicy, but that's a juicy hit for the Disruptor.
Those are pretty solid shots being gotten there. I'd like to see the Adepts just make sure to try to focus the Hydralisks down, get the Immortals to target those Roaches if they can, and Scarlett still flooding units across the map, trying to break Neeb. Those Disruptors were cool, but they have such a long timer between those shots. Looks like Scarlett is going to be able to even the score. I'm not sure how Neeb can stop her at this point.
Yeah, even if he does stop her at this point, it's 43 workers to 69. Scarlett might lose some of these units, but no, even kills the Disruptor before Ghost Shot goes off.
GG, baby.
Scarlett being able to tie up the series 2-2.
Not bad at all, Fear Dragon. And we talk about, this has been, right, like, we're going into Game 5 next. And total game time, maybe 20, 30, 25 minutes?
Pretty short. That was one of the longer ones, but definitely pretty short. And we saw in that last game, while it wasn't really a cheese or anything, Scarlett had a really good reaction to the fact that Neeb was getting so aggressive. With the energy you were talking about in the Phoenix and the double Stargate, the Phoenix just didn't have that much energy because they were lifting up so many drones and queens. He lost 3 of the Phoenix during that harassment, and Scarlett just sent her Roaches and Lings across the map and canceled the 3rd repeatedly. That just puts Neeb into a really awkward all-in position.
Yeah, it was these games are just so awkward to watch. I mean, this is what always happens. This is what always happens when we do this. It's like Masa and Neeb, or Masa and Scarlett, some insane weirdness, and then Scarlett and Neeb, and it's just some insane weirdness. Like these cheeses, these positions that these players are getting into are so awkward, and it's because they play each other all the time. Neeb was saying that when he was up here earlier in his winners interview. He's just like, well, I play so much against Scarlett. We know everything that we do.
They played like 150 or so games, competitive tournament games against each other, not to mention practice games they did when they were in the team house together. Yeah.
There are surely many other scenarios in which these players compete against each other. So we're going to see now who can get the lead again in this best of 7. Need 2 more wins to close it out. And it's really hard to say because Neeb's done a better job in the last couple games defending against those cheesy, aggressive play. But Scarlett still able to find openings in that mid-game. The grab on the 3rd was huge. The follow-up, being able to get the Roaches and the Hydras out in time to kind of push that army back. especially the Hydra count to just deal with the 3 Immortals with the Warp Prism push, focusing down the Prism, focusing down the Immortal at the end.
Yeah.
Those are the very small but very important maneuvers that give Scarlett the advantage there. And it's so hard to call. I guess if Scarlett stops
Yeah.
cheesing, she looks pretty good in the macro game so far.
Yeah, I think she actually looked just fine in that macro game. And she, like you said, she was able to take those engagements pretty handily. Neeb definitely, I mean, he had the Phoenix provide the high ground vision and everything, but at the same time, that also meant that the Phoenix were just getting picked off by the Hydras pretty quickly, so they weren't taking any units out of the fight. It's tough. I think that Neeb, if he's going to try and play like a normal macro game, obviously just making sure you keep your third alive is pretty big. The double Stargate play, it has some ups, it has some downs. I think Scarlett exploited the downs of it really, really well.
So we're loaded into game number 5 here. You're watching the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. Spawning in the bottom right position as our red Protoss player. Representing Ting, he is Neeb.
And up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, she is known as the Queen of Blades. It is the blue Zerg player, Scarlett. There are those beautiful player cameras. You got Neeb taking his hands off the keyboard repeatedly. Scratch his nose. I'm always surprised whenever you see, like, especially a player streaming or something, and they always take their hands off the keyboard in the middle of fights and stuff.
Why?
I don't know. Do you take your hands off the keyboard when you're playing StarCraft?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
You ever do a build where you have to wait for like 3 workers to finish and before you like,
Well, actually, this
you
is
queue up a few STVs, your
something that
barracks
bugs
is
me.
building, you literally can't do anything other than send a worker out to scout.
I'm one of the players that, like, my hands are always on my keyboard and mouse the entire time I'm playing. And
Well,
I will
that's your
watch,
problem for
but
your
I will
dragon.
watch players like Scarlett or something in the beginning, the first few minutes of a game if they're like playing at home or something, not
You
in
know
a
what you
tournament
need?
setting.
You should come with me tomorrow. I'm gonna go pick up some more tank tops from a stream. I'm just saying.
You need to chill out.
Yeah, and then you'll realize that when you're not in a rush to do anything in a game of StarCraft,
Well, I
you can
open
just
up with
flex.
cannon
You can
rushes,
just
so
flex,
I am
man.
in a rush to do something. Literally.
That's fine.
I'm in a rush to build cannons.
Well, you gotta wait for your forge to finish, right? So put your probe on patrol wherever you're hiding it, and just kick back, stretch out, get the blood flow going. It's important, We, in gaming, it's there's a lot of sitting down, and it is important to move around every once in a while.
That's true.
It's not just
I'm not sure if moving your hands around is what they're talking about though.
no. Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's important to get up every once in a while. Stretch the arms is not a bad way to help with that.
Okay, well, we do
Robotics
have,
facility.
yeah, Robo coming out here from Neeb, so maybe once again concerned with the potential of a Nidus Worm opening or something. This also will let him get up that Warp Prism, put on some pressure. The Stargate pressure definitely didn't quite do exactly what Neeb was hoping for in that last game, but Adept's going to come in once again, scout out Scarlett. Are you getting up a super fast lair or something? Did you skip Zergling speed? Are you doing some shenanigans? And doesn't see anything just yet, but there's still no third base out for Scarlett.
Yep.
Are hitting the
Warp Prism.
15-second mark. This is getting a little bit late.
Yeah, so Neeb with the Warp Prism coming out, likely to see that harass.
Whoa.
Did he? The
There's
Warp
the
Prism
lair.
finished. Warp Prism finished, right? He didn't cancel it. That would be
Yeah.
crazy.
Uh,
No, he did cancel it. He is
Ooh.
crazy. I just wanted to double check that.
Hold on, no, but he saw the lair, so it actually makes sense. He just wants to get up units immediately, because this looks a lot like the Nidus Worm play, where you go for the 2-base lair really quickly. You still got up your Zergling speed, I think. Yep, there's Zergling speed. And, well, Neeb, I imagine he's just going to be trying to... Oh, and he still gets up the Warp Prism. I thought he was going to get up an Immortal to
Wait.
try and clean things up.
She's taking the rest of her gas, Sphere Dragon.
2-base Muta, you think?
It could be.
There have also been
It
some...
could be a bait build. Make the guy build a ton of Immortals and then roll up with Mutas like sup.
Oh, that would actually be a pretty sick play. But it will take a while to actually roll around, right? And in the meanwhile...
Yeah, but if you're Neeb, you have to be defensive because you think you're about to get Nidus, right?
Yeah. Do you use this? Okay, no, this is actually with the Swarm. I was going to say, the other thing, we've seen this Swarm host Nidus Swarm play, and Scarlett is actually a big fan of this as well, so she really likes doing this. This is actually not a bad map for it because the Swarm host can Nidus around to really nice locations. Right above that natural expansion, you can potentially get an easy pickoff on even the Nexus.
I know that StarCraft 2 is a competitive game and that this is a 1 versus 1, but this build is still the equivalent of griefing. This is a griefing build for your dragon because
it's a griefing build?
It hurts. It hurts to lose to this build. People feel physical pain when that 5-minute Swarm host Locust Wave comes in and just starts killing your stuff because you know that you are locked in for the rest of the game with that unless you make some magic moves to catch those heck muffins.
Okay, well, with the Warp Prism over here, Neeb might be able to get some scouting information to see the Swarm host or see the Nidus Swarm. They're both in the main base. The Adepts just shading into the natural. They actually let that shade finish, but the Nidus Swarm is going up. And the first 8 Swarm hosts are going to be popping soon. What does Neeb actually have back at home? He's got 5 gateways on the way, but does he actually have enough units to defend this? He does have quite a few.
Yeah, it's only 4 Swarm hosts with this first wave right now, so this number of Locusts is going to be looking to probably just grab a couple of the probes, maybe any units nearby. Once he gets up to, once she gets up to a higher number, we could see her go for the Nexus if the army ever leaves.
I mean, the weird thing is 6 workers actually is a pretty big deal here because Scarlett is still up about 9 or so workers. And we end up seeing the Swarm hosts. Nidus swarming to the other side now. Neeb's entire army is potentially going to be out of position for this one. Adepts are actually still getting a lot of damage now.
Yeah, getting some good drone kills, but Sasha, she's got her queens on the hunt.
Oh my God.
One of the Adepts. That's going to limit it a little bit.
6 workers killed for just these 2 Adepts. That's pretty big.
Yeah,
7 workers.
Here comes the wave of Locusts.
Ooh, they have a long distance to go. Do you just go after the Robo?
She can right-click on whatever she wants. I think you try to get... Okay,
Pylons.
Pylons are solid.
That's going to depower 4 gateways.
She could get the Robo. She had all of them shoot it. Some of them were still... Some of them were hitting the gateways.
This is a scary push in though, because a lot of the Stormers are on cooldown. She still has some of them available here. Some nice Warp Prism Micro can pick up the Stalkers, Force Field out some of the Locust moves that don't have a lot of range. Neeb is making his push in, and he's making it look strong.
But Fear Dragon, Reddit told me that Swarm hosts are free units. How is Neeb killing Scarlett?
They are free, but you have to wait. Your cost is time.
Yeah. Well, Neeb looking really good here. Great push that he's been able to make. And I think you hit the nail on the head using the Warp Prism to pull the units out of Locust range. Locust only
starting to
have
get a lot of
2 or 3 range.
Yeah.
And the Immortals are still alive, which is the most important part because Scarlett only has 2 bases. So this hatchery, right click, easy money, easy life.
Yeah. And at this point, the most that Scarlett could probably hope for is base trade, but guess what? Neeb has recall. He could easily take that base trade. Take out 1 or 2.
Intentionally not killing that hatchery because I'm really okay.
I think maybe he was worried about the Locusts or sorry, the Broodlings adding in, surrounding his units, but he's got such a big army now. He can actually just go after the Night Swarm, make sure that there's no escape
Kill
here.
the main base and force the weird reveal buildings thing. Oh wait, she did build a hatchery in the bottom left. Okay.
I think you kill the Night Swarm to make sure none of the drones can get out.
Yeah, that would be.
And none of the Swarmos can just like go to the other side and kill off one of your Nexus or something.
Yeah, that's a very valid point of concern. Get the Noidus.
Well, it's at 13 workers now to 35, so
Neeb still has his base, by
Yeah.
the way. He still has workers.
Yep.
So behind all of this, even if this army was to be completely killed, which I don't think it will be,
there it is.
He could follow up. GG, Neeb handling yet another very short game as Scarlett is attempting to burrow her way through Neeb's defense. Is not working though with those Nidus worms digging under the map.
I'm actually a little bit surprised. It's one of those situations where if you go for the 2-base Nidus Swarm host play, you'll see like the first round you go after some of the probes. The second round though, I really thought you either go after Galing and like the actual tech, like a Robo or something, or you actually sometimes see a lot of Zerg players go after the Nexus itself. If you kill the Nexus itself, now it's a 1-base Protoss player. It becomes a lot more awkward.
She did maybe I guess this is like a weird thing for me to say, but it felt like she maybe should have waited for the rest of the Swarm host and made
not go into the 4 Swarm hosts.
For me, the key to whenever like I see, because I play a lot of like Terran, if you play mech and you end up versus Swarm Hosts are most effective when they blindside you the first time that they're used.
Yeah.
And in most games that I've seen where Swarm Hosts are used, the strength of the build is determined purely by the first Locust Wave that comes out. Because as soon as the Protoss or the Terran or whatever, as soon as you realize your opponent is doing this to you, you want to counterattack. And if the first wave doesn't do enough to slow you down, you usually just push. And that's what Neeb did. He's like, all right, well, for her to have this many Swarm Hosts this early in the game, I've played enough StarCraft. I know there's no way that she could have any significant quantity of anything else other than these Swarm Hosts. So as long as she keeps attacking me and I can just hold on, there really shouldn't be any way that she can stop my assault. And that's why he went down the map. That's why he won the game. And that's why I think Swarm Hosts are an interesting unit to go for. Maybe the map's not big enough to try that build here. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a bit tough. But now we get into a situation where Neeb is now up 3-2. That's match point in a best of 7. So Neeb just needs one more victory, and he'll be crowned the champion of WCS Winter Americas.
WCS Americas.
We'll see if he can manage to make it work. Scarlett, I guess now out of 5 games, she's cheesed 4 of them.
Yes.
Yeah, looking pretty good.
Yep. King's Cove for the next map, potentially final map, as Fear Dragon was talking about. Of course, join in on the conversation. Send us your tweets. Hashtag WCS. Tell me how good my hair looks today. Tell us how much you love analyzing 5-minute ZvPs, because there's really only so much we can dive into over here.
Yeah. And if you want even more analysis, be sure to tweet at Rotterdam08.
Yep.
He'll directly reply to each individual tweet and respond to you with his analysis.
If you have issues with anything regarding graphics or audio on the stream.
You want to know
he's the guy to talk to.
Didn't research Storm that game. Rotterdam is the man that has the answers.
Very true. Very, very, very true. That guy has a very high IQ. We are going into King's Cove. We are loading in. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Don't forget, we've got the finals for WCS Winter Europe Edition tomorrow. We'll be back here around the same time to bring you the epic conclusion to the European bracket, and also the NA free-for-all will be tomorrow.
The thing that everyone was waiting for.
Yeah, obviously you guys just want to watch Neeb work a rush in the free-for-all, so we'll give you guys that.
By the way, the free-for-all did have a prize at stake. I believe it was anything that was not over like $200 something from the Blizzard store.
Nice.
So the players all gathered together and they looked up the most expensive thing in the store.
I'm not surprised.
Found some bomber jacket there.
That does not surprise me in the slightest. We are loaded in to King's Cove in the bottom right. He is our red Protoss player. He is Neeb. Codes, top 4. He's made over $400,000. Sponsored by an awesome organization that also runs StarCraft tournaments, Ting. And yeah, he's been with them for a while. He's been doing really well for himself. Neeb, a household name in the Americas StarCraft scene.
He's definitely done well for himself. But up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, a staple of the North American scene. It is our Blue Zerg player by the name of Scarlett.
So, the question at hand, Dragon of Fear, will Scarlett cheese again? Oh, faster hatch.
Okay.
But
that could still lead.
Yeah, well, when it's Scarlett, it's like watching No Regret, right? It's like at any point you're like, no, he went double hatch before pool. Wait, no, there's a 4th hatch, still no pool. No, trust me, No Regret's gonna do it. And then you're like, all right, he went 5 hatch before pool. No way. Cancels 2 of the hatches after the pool's like halfway done. Ling floods.
Yeah. Well, I think that Scarlett might actually try and play a more macro-oriented game on this one. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know that you want to put the tournament onto one last, slice of cheddar. Although I will, if it's a sharp yellow cheddar, then that's really not all that bad, is it? That's pretty good.
I can't think of a single time I've seen Scarlett eating cheese.
Yeah. Well, why are you keeping track of that? That is...
I don't know.
That is just odd, man.
You don't track what people eat at events?
No. Oh, that's not true. I know that all the Koreans used to just fill their suitcases with Korean ramen.
Actually, that's quite true.
Yeah.
A lot of the
Number
Korean players
one
would just bring their
request.
own food.
You guys want throwback? #1 request at DreamHacks and stuff when we were doing them for the last 5 years. Hot water. There you go. Everybody just had it. I remember I hung out with Violet, and his suitcase was literally just like he had just enough clothes, and every other piece of space was just like ramen. Instant ramen from Korea. Good times.
Yeah.
Good.
We got an
times.
Oracle opening over here from Neeb, so he's not going to be going for the Phoenix first, but he still goes for the Adept opening. I mean, no massive surprises here. Scarlett adds on a couple of Zerglings to deal with any sort of Adept pressure, as is per usual. But, I mean, this game, she does have additional drones coming out behind it. She isn't going for a super fast lair. It really does seem a lot more like this is going to be similar to the Year Zero game in the sense that Scarlett isn't just going to try and end it immediately.
Nope. So we finally get something of a normal game. And you know what? I'm going to put it out there. Year Zero was like not really like a cheese type game. There were just circumstances that led to it ending shorter. Honestly, it was just burning all the energy off the Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
It just didn't really, there wasn't really anything
It
there.
was reactionary.
Yeah, these multiple Oracle openings are not just good because Oracles are the bane of all workers' existence, but they're very, very good at defending against those counterlink floods.
Scarlett, I mean, she is going to be able to get away with only losing 3 workers right now, but she didn't make a single Spore Crawler for all of that. That was purely off of just the Queen defense right there, pushing back that Oracle, surrounding the Adepts as well. So really, really solid defense there for Scarlett, given the fact that she was not 100% prepared for the Oracle opening. And, oh, okay, is the wall open? No, there's an Adept behind that gateway.
Nice.
Misleading.
Nice. So Scarlett is going to get +1 melee. That's going to make her Zerglings way better. I like seeing this type of choice. The Zealot interaction with Lings is always funny because it does kind of go back the other way, right? You get the upgrades on Zealots, yeah, they two-shot Lings, whatever. But the Lings being able to fight back like this really big. Also huge if there's a situation where Sasha tries to dive on a potential third base or really anything that's out on the map. Phoenix gonna get to work, but
Resonating Glaives coming out here. So we're gonna keep an eye out on that worker count for Neeb. See if he does continue to probe on up, or if he is gonna be just committing to a really, really big Adept attack. The kind of funny thing is also, we're gonna see the lair finishing up pretty late over here for Scarlett. So Neeb is gonna have Resonating Glaives, I think, pretty close to the time right after the lair finishes.
Because Adepts are units that we generally say fall off as the game goes on. So does that mean that Neeb is not going to really use the third? I don't think he'll cancel it. He doesn't have gateways on the way.
He's still making
He only
workers.
has 4. He only has 4 warp gates.
Yeah.
Like, he can't do a huge warp in round. And he has no robo, so there's no way he can get a prism to reinforce. He's just now starting the robo. So this just feels kind of weird. I guess he's just going to try and do this harass with the Adepts.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I'm not crazy about it.
I think he's been slowly making them, so it's not like he just said,
No, you're
okay,
right.
yeah, let me make 4
This
Adepts
is a
in
good
the
amount of Adepts, but the +1 melee on the Lynx, God, it's not ready yet. This is the golden opportunity.
It's going to finish up right as +1 melee is about to finish up. As you can see over there on the right-hand side, Resonating Glaives only got about a 10-second window before +1 melee finishes up, but the Hydra Den also still a ways away from finishing.
So Neeb is going to try and keep the Adept. Actually, Scarlett's in trouble because these 2 Oracles are going to be here to help defend against this as well. I think you hold position. There you go. Turn on Pearl Star Beam. Let these Adepts do their thing with that Resonating Glaives. The +1 Lings really do rip into the Adepts, but at least the Oracles are able to contribute a huge amount. Focus firing down the drones now. 9 workers picked off. The Adepts are still standing strong.
Oh boy.
I doubted the brilliance of Neeb. I made a mistake. The Oracles are, of course, going to be a part of this party. And the Adepts are going to continue to shade forward. I think he wanted to get on top of the ramp, but he's like, you know what? I'd rather just kill everything here instead because you don't really have that much.
Yeah, he's killing so many Zerglings and forcing out more Zerglings here from Scarlett. And behind this, even as these Adepts get cleaned up or even actually shade into the main base, kill some more workers,
just a handful
he's
of
been
Adepts kill so many
probing up.
drones. Just a handful of Adepts can kill so many drones because he has Resonating Glaives, so those shots coming in so quickly, I don't think these ones are going to make it out. Man, if Scarlett did not have +1 melee, game is over right now. Neeb would have already won. And Scarlett, she took a bit of a beating there. Neeb's at 65 probes. He's on 3 bases. I'm worried for Sasha.
I don't actually know how Scarlett's going to come back in this because she just lost so many workers. She remakes them now, but she also lost so many Zerglings there. And Neeb is already just remaking the Zealots. He's already got Charge on the way. He's got additional gateways being added on. He's got a Warp Prism. And of course, that third base. The one thing I guess he is going to be lacking is the upgrades. And the Forge is just now coming up. He is losing maybe a few workers over here to the Zergling run by. So that's some good damage there for Scarlett. But that still puts Neeb at an advantage in worker counts.
Yeah, this is
wow,
this is a slam dunk follow-up. Like just
Charge
Lot, Archon, Immortal. And if Neeb goes like right now, he won't yeah, this is the best moment. Again, he's gonna pick a perfect timing because the Baneling Nest is about to finish. Scarlett can make Banelings, but she doesn't have any on the way. She doesn't have any on the map yet.
And no Baneling speed either.
She has to start them right now. And yes, exactly. She will not have Baneling speed. So these are not going to be Mac Daddy rolling Banelings. These are going to be the I'm coming to kill you Banelings, and they're bad.
But there's no sentries over here. That's actually really big because right now Neeb's army is primarily these charge lots. You're going to start to see he's trying to pull back these Zealots, but he still takes a lot of damage. A lot of the Zealots get cleaned up. Some of the Zealots going after some of the drones in the mineral line, but that also means that they're not really supporting these Archons and Immortals.
This Warpin's really big. Grab the Immortal with the Prism. Okay, well, the Immortal dies, but there's still so many Zealots.
Yeah.
Banelings are gone. And yeah, with Charge, that kind of removes that need for the +1 since the Zerglings don't have armor. So the Zealots are still able to dunk on these units. And oh my god, there's a drone blunder. GG! Neeb takes it and is your WCS Winter America's champion.
Big congratulations to Neeb, showing that he is once again the King of America. He's going to award him $12,000
Say it
for
with
first
me
place.
again. America.
America.
Ah, gotta love it. Neeb hoists it up. What a base god. Well played, well executed. No bamboozle.
Not going to let any of Scarlett's shenanigans mess with him today, and he's still looking strong. Some people have maybe questioned once or twice, is Neeb still in good form? You know what? As my good friend Showtime said on Twitter, he's in perfect mode.
Nice. Really scrappy set of games getting through the mess that was that Massa match. And then this one, really, really close, really intense, back and forth. And it really just came down to a couple of things, the way that he utilized the units. We talk about stuff like that Oracle thing all the time. Like, oh, the energy, it took damage, but it got a couple of drones because the Phoenix picked up, blah, 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 blah. But the way that he had that in mind, that he was thinking far enough in advance, like, I want the Oracles to harass, but I also want them available to use for the Adept follow-up. And I think that attack without the Oracles flops super, super, super hard with no Oracle support because of that +1 melee.
Yeah.
And everything just came together perfectly. His follow-up it could not have been better timed. He hit literally as the Baneling Nest finished. There was no way Scarlett could have a huge amount of any of those units.
And he controlled
really
it well.
done.
He controlled it well at the same time, right? Because all the Zealots were otherwise going to be running into a bunch of Banelings, and that would have been a huge, huge problem. But he pulls back the right amount of Zealots. He takes a good fight there. Gets a nice little spread there.
That last game was like perfect execution. Yeah.
Very well done.
So Neeb is, as we just said, your WCS Winter Champion for Americas. And he's going to get a lot of WCS points. That's going to make the rest of his year much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we expect to see him making deep runs, but the pressure is not going to be quite so intense for making it to the finals. And not to mention $12,000.
$12,000 and all those WCS points, like you said. So for WCS Spring and WCS Summer, he's in Kiev. He's going to have much better seating. He's going to have easier groups. This all stacks up. This all makes it a lot easier for Neeb. And of course, even for Scarlett, who still walks away with, I think, about $8,000. It's still a very, very solid run.
It's still a great result for Scarlett. You know, we did a lot of this one in studio. We had most of it was online before we got out here, but the prize was still really big. These players have been grinding it out. It's been over the course of several months now. Multiple different patches of balance for this, multiple map pools for StarCraft. So it has been
a lot of games.
A journey.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna take another look at the bracket, but yeah, it was just a great match. I think
It was just a good day. Good day overall. I mean, we got to see, even though it was actually just a day of 3-1s, it looked like almost, with a couple of, I guess, 1-2-3, 1-2-4. It was still a pretty fun day, though.
Yeah, no stops, which I'm going to be real with you. In a lot of these, sometimes when we do these studio shows especially, we somehow get this like weird vibe where all the matches are like 2-0s or 3-0s, but a lot of really scrappy series today, and the games went long. I mean, we definitely had a long day of StarCraft. That best of 7, we somehow played out 6 games in about as short of a period of time as possible.
Yeah, it turns out actually Neeb was speedrunning Scarlett in that series, not the other way around.
Yeah, very, very, very well done. As we get to see that, this is the prize money that we were talking about. Neeb in first place, 12 grand, 1,600 points, and just really, really well done. We're back on the desk. We've got Neeb, the god himself, to join us and perhaps shed some of his holy wisdom upon us.
I mean, do you guys have any questions?
That you're not
Like
going to shed
normally
any
they open
whole...
with,
Yeah.
they open with a question. But
Yeah.
What is your holy wisdom for us?
You could drop a one-liner on us if you need to.
I haven't prepared any.
That's fine. That's fine.
Oh.
So, first thing I want to talk about, because this was one of the more interesting parts, your wall off on Kairos Junction.
Yes.
Very far forward, but it gave
Yeah.
you a lot of space to backpedal when the Ling Flood hit.
Yeah, the main reason I do that wall is so that I can block an early hatchery, because normally Zergs adapt to Pylon Scout by making a hatchery earlier and like cutting drones and stuff. But if you make the pylon on the low ground, in that position, like it's far forward enough that you don't have to cut probes and you can still block an earlier hatchery. So I put it there, and then you can put the gateway nicely too, and it's far forward, so it's good for your depth pressure. So I mean, I like it. I don't think it's bad. Like, it's slightly bad if they do like Ling Owens, but
But you
I mean, as
seem
you
to
can see,
shut that
like,
down anyway.
yeah, like, if you micro well and re-wall fine, like it's not that hard.
Yeah. So Scarlett also basically cheesed you, I want to say 5 out of 6 games there. Was that what you were expecting, or?
I mean, I wasn't expecting that at all, actually, because she was saying beforehand that we were going to play like 2-hour games, like long macro games and stuff.
God,
Trying to get in your head.
that sounds
Yeah.
exactly like what Scarlett
Like,
would
I
say.
actually prepared some macro games too, so
Nice.
I didn't get to use much of what I prepared.
Well, I guess you got WCS Challenger coming up in a few weeks. You can still bust all of that stuff out. But I mean, what's up? What's actually next for you? What's coming up in the future?
I mean, and there's not much right until WCS Challenger and then Kiev next month. And so I guess after this tournament, I'm just going to be resting for a few weeks and then try to do my best at those.
Gotcha. I know that in the past, like, you've made trips to Korea and stuff. I know I've asked you about this before, but do you have any intention to go back to Korea anytime in the near future or make another GSL run?
Not at the moment. It's definitely a lot of fun. I'd like to go again, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling it in the next few months at least, maybe. So probably not until next year.
All right.
Oh, that's fair. Well, is there anything that you want to say to anybody out there watching? You're the winter champion. You got the first WCS trophy of the year. How does it feel? The terrible question.
I mean, yeah, it feels very good. I was kind of doubting my skills a little bit going into this tournament, and I also didn't practice that much. So I was kind of accepting that, like, I would be happy with a second place or something. But I'm glad I was able to pull it out. And I mean, I'd also like to thank all my practice partners, because I played with a lot of Zergs. Right before this, I played with Denver, Laser, and Lambo, and that was very helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really, really well done. Big congratulations on your performance. You've got a lot of money, a lot of WCS points, so hopefully see more awesome action from Neeb in the future, Ravi.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations and best of luck in Challenger, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I believe that does it here for us at the Blizzard Arena, as Neeb is your champion for WCS Winter Americas. Tomorrow, we'll be up bright and early to find the winners of our European side of the tournament. So we will see you then. Is it going to be Cyril winning stuff again as usual, or will we have a new winner that isn't Cyril in WCS? Very excited. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We're going to take a look at that bracket before we go.
We're going to get Neeb's predictions on tomorrow's games.
He told us Cyril earlier,
Yeah.
but Raynor at the top of the seeding.
Yeah, I'm still feeling Cyril, I think. Raynor has a chance. Like, it'll be a very close series if they play.
Should be awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Really sick bracket. This is what's coming up tomorrow. Really stoked to get into this. Laser and Lambo are going to be the two trying to dig their way out of the bottom. But Rainer, so much hype around this young man, and I can't wait to see what he brings, because I think a lot of the European fans kind of excited to see Rainer maybe dethrone Cyril.
I mean, he had a sick run in the round robin. There's a reason why he's sitting in the grand finals right now. It's because he's beaten players like Cyril and a bunch of the others.
So that'll be coming at you, along with getting to see Neeb in the NA free-for-all. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the conclusion of WCS Winter. Still 4 Immortals alive. They're being backed up to the ramp of the natural, though. One of them getting very low, gets a pick off. Set third one might go down. Only 2 Immortals left. One very weak. It goes down. That's one final Immortal to try and defend against this, as another one's going to be chrono boosted out, but it's not enough. GG Champ takes the first match here at the WCS Winter Finals.
And with another one of these Reapers, so you might be able to cut this off. No, Masa darts around a different angle. Now Masa's got 3 Reapers to just 2.
Yeah, and if he wins against these 2 Reapers, a Hellion won't help. Actually, it's not a Hellion, it's a Cyclone, so it's going to take a little longer to get out. This could be an opportunity for Masa to get a lot of SEV kills. How's it going to go? Good grenades. He's going to take out 1 Reaper. Now the second one should go down. That's it.
Masa is going to be moving on.
Down to 47 supply.
We got this.
Oh, we actually lost. Oh, it was the SVC pull now. That'll be it.
GG. Neeb.
Now, Neeb does go for a nice early probe scout. Snap. When does Neeb see this one?
Looks like Scarlett is going to be able to even the score. I'm not sure how Neeb can stop her at this point.
Yeah, even if he does stop her at this point, it's 43 work versus 69. Scarlett might lose some of these units, but no, even kills the Disruptor before Ghost Shot goes off.
GG, baby.
These charge lots, you're going to start to see he's trying to pull back these Zealots, but he still takes a lot of damage. A lot of the Zealots get cleaned up. Some of the Zealots going after some of the drones in the mineral line, but that also means that they're not really supporting these Archons and Immortals.
On these units, and oh my god, there's a drone
Slaughters
blunder.
drones.
GG. Neeb takes it and is your WCS Winter America's champion.